What would you do if you were a 32-year-old virgin, lost your virginity to someone you loved, and then was told that you were bad at it? I have a question that was emailed to me, and I'm going to share it with you today, along with my response to it. And the question goes as follows. I'm a 32-year-old woman, and I lost my virginity recently, a month and a half ago. I'm no longer in the relationship due to many complicated reasons. Being a virgin was a matter of choice for me, and being the romantic person that I am, I wanted to preserve myself for the person I had really fallen in love with. I met a woman a year ago, and I truly fell in love with her. I explained to her beforehand that I accepted, and she accepted it without a problem. I came to a point where I felt like my love had grown for her to a point where I could give to her myself fully. Being a virgin, sex for me was a baby learning how to walk. Everything seemed new and like unexplored territory for me. I had read and heard that first times might not really go as expected, because it's all about learning your partner and her likes and so forth. I quite frankly didn't know how to touch her. It was quite frustrating for her, and sometimes she used to be extremely mad at me. When I wanted to hug her for comfort, she would just push me away. One night, she blurted out saying that I am a robot and need some sense of feeling. I started feeling abnormal. She left it a few days and wanted us to try again, but the thing is, I started to dread the bedroom. I'd go there really tense and nothing in my mind but failure on how to touch her and make her come, and I failed. I don't know if that was related to her being really frustrated and her reactions that held me back. I admit that I have much more sex education than I need. I'm working on that and would love to have more referrals from you. It was quite emotional for me. Some women I've heard say that when a virgin person has sex, it might be frustrating, but as long as there is love, they are willing to let their partners practice with them until they feel more confident about things, no matter how long it would take. And here are her questions for me. Am I abnormal? Will I ever be good at sex? If I wanted to improve myself sexually, without practicing with anyone but only on myself, would it be possible to make myself ready to have a better sexual relationship in the future? Now, normally I don't just read my response, but this letter was so heartbreaking to me, and I think it's something that a lot of people will respond to and have some really strong reactions to. And I had some really strong reactions, especially that really heartbreaking question that she asked, which was, am I abnormal? And that's really heartbreaking because, a lot of us experience those insecurities in our lives. And to have this come up and in such an intimate circumstance and in a situation where it created such a rift in the relationship that the relationship fell apart after this. And to ask that question, and I want to tell you right now as you're watching this video that you are not abnormal, that you had an experience that was a terrible experience, but we need to get past this experience so that in the future you could have some really great relationships and some really great sexual experiences. So this is my response. And I want to make sure that you hear this and understand this. You are not a failure. There's a learning curve to sex, but as a virgin, anytime you're with a new partner, there's going to be a learning curve. You got to figure out what works for you, and you got to figure out what works for them. And you're feeling, tense and upset because of your partner's reactions and your own beliefs about sex. You can't do anything about her reactions. She had those reactions. And for a variety of reasons she had those reactions. And based on probably a variety of different beliefs that she has about sex and what sex was going to be like for her with a virgin. I suspect that she had a belief about and a romanticized idea about what sex was going to be like with a virgin. And maybe has some screwed up ideas about sex in general that are then played out in how she treated you and how she reacted in this situation. Now, since you can't do anything about her reactions and her beliefs, you can do something about changing your beliefs. And number one, you will get better at sex. And you'll get better as long as you get educated. As long as you practice on yourself so you understand how your own body works and the different sensations of different techniques feel like. And you'll get better once you start practicing with someone. So don't worry about that. You are going to get better. You are not abnormal, and you will get better at sex. And number two, I want to ask you this question. What is your definition of sex? And what is your definition of being successful in the bedroom? Is your definition of success, or is your, I want to do the sex part first, is your definition of sex that both partners have to reach orgasm? Or is your definition of sex that one person has to reach orgasm? Or is your definition of sex that you have to have a deep, intimate connection when you're together? So really look at what's your definition of sex, and that might change over your lifetime. As you grow and as you experience new things, and as you have a longer term relationship with someone, your definition of sex might change. And your definition of being successful might change. Does the success in your relationship and in your sex life mean that you both have to have orgasms? Does it mean that you have to have penetrative sex and that leads to an orgasm? Because some women don't like penetrative sex. Some women don't like oral sex. Some women only like clitoral stimulation. You have to find out what you like, and you have to find out what the person you're in a relationship with likes and what works best for them. And that can even change over your lifetime. You might always like oral sex, and at some point you don't like it anymore. And just roll with it. That's just your body changing. That's your personality changing. That's just normal. These are things that you can experiment with over your lifetime and revisit. Maybe you never liked penetrative sex, but then you try it out, and all of a sudden you like it, or you try a different toy. So, don't cut yourself short on what you're going to be doing and what a partner might like. And, I want to ask you, I want to tell you, bottom line, don't let this one person's reactions determine how you feel about yourself and your abilities. This is their reaction, and there were some really screwed up things about their reaction. And we don't really know all the nuts and bolts of your relationship, and we don't know all the nuts and bolts about what was going on with them and what was going on with you. So we can only look at it from this point of view and say, that reaction, you would probably get a different reaction from someone else. And so don't determine how good you're going to be in the future or what your life's going to be like in the future and whether or not you're abnormal or normal based on this one person's reaction. And I talked a little bit about your partner's beliefs already, and I just want to say that, she may have even trouble articulating what she wants, and that's why it's going to be really important for you to figure out what you want, and to practice on yourself, and to get educated, and to try out different techniques on yourself, because then you'll be able to come into your next relationship or your next sexual experience and say, I like this. This works really well in my body. What works good for you? And start that conversation. Because that conversation is going to be really important in your relationship and in your sex life, and getting better at being able to please the person you're in a relationship with and be able to please yourself and making sure they understand how to please you. So it's going to be really important to have that conversation and to be able to articulate that to another person. So I also want to kind of point out to you that as an ex-virgin myself, and as most ex-virgins would probably tell you, is that at first sex is often uncomfortable, awkward, gross, robotic, not sexy at all. But a lot of us were teenagers when we experienced that. And let's face it, a lot of things in my life when I was a teenager was awkward and not sexy and gross and robotic. So I could roll with it a little bit more when I was a teenager. So you have to understand you're at that point. And this is actually very normal for you to have some awkward experiences when you're trying to have sex for the first time, especially if you haven't spent a lot of time learning about your own body. So you are totally normal for having those experiences and for feeling that way. And, until you know what to expect, until you understand your body, and until you know how to talk about sex and to feel comfortable experimenting, you're going to be feeling that a little bit. But I promise you, if you keep working on it, you'll get there. You'll feel much more comfortable. You'll feel much more confident. And you'll feel much more confident and comfortable in that intimacy too, and not tense anymore. And all these skills, these are skills that you can learn. You can learn on yourself, you can learn by reading books, and you can learn by practicing on other people. So don't get hung up on whether or not you're going to get these skills. Just be committed to getting them. So I'm going to give you 3 things that you can start doing right now so that you can have a better experience the next time. And the first thing is to start reading. And I have a few books that I just grabbed off of my own bookshelf. The Whole Lesbian Sex book, On Our Back's Guide to Lesbian Sex, the Strap-On book, Clitoral Truth, lesbian sex, 101 love-making positions. So, and actually I'm going to put a link right here underneath this YouTube video to a list of these books, but start getting these books. You can order them on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, you know, a lot of different bookstores are going to have these books. Get these books and start reading so that you can start implementing the techniques in these books. And, you know, get that education and start experimenting on your body. So that's number 2, is experimenting on your body. Take these techniques that you're learning and see how they feel. Start to really understand how your body works and what gets you off. Experiment on penetration. Experiment, get a vibrator, experiment on different ways to stimulate your clitoris. Experiment on touching your body in different ways and seeing what works for you, so you'll be able to articulate that to another person. And also so that you understand what all these different sensations feel like on a body, so that you understand when you're with a partner how that sensation is likely going to feel on them. So you can try out those different techniques. And the third thing is to get more physical contact and hugging with other people in general. You know, work on your physical intimacy with other people. And when you get into a relationship again, do a lot of heavy petting and make-out sessions. So then sex just turns into a natural progression. You know, you already have that physical intimacy and you already feel comfortable in that physical intimacy. So then you can just progress into sex and it's going to feel much more natural to you. And I know I said I was going to give you just 3 things, but I'm actually going to throw in a 4th thing. And I want you to, the next time you think of this experience you had, and think of your partner's reactions, and think of the way it made you feel, and that feeling like a failure, and feeling frustrated, and feeling abnormal, I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to take a deep breath. And I want you to say this to yourself. I am a hot and passionate lover. And just say that to yourself and feel that. Because what you are is what you focus on and what you think about. So focus on and think about becoming a hot and passionate lover, because that's what you're going to be. You're going to get these skills, you're going to get educated, you're going to get more experiences, and you're going to become that hot and passionate lover. So don't focus on this crap reaction that you got from someone else. Focus on getting those skills and feeling good about yourself and feeling normal, because you are absolutely normal. And with that, I just want to send you lots of sweet lesbian love. I'm Christine Dunn. I'm the Lesbian Love Guru. You can check me out at lesbianloveguru.com. I have a lot more of these videos, and actually I'm going to post this video on there with links to my book list, and also I'm going to post on this letter and my response to it. And I would love, love for you to comment on this, to leave suggestions for the person who wrote this letter. She asked me to share anonymously, and I'm respecting that. But leave suggestions, leave love for her, leave comments, leave suggestions about other books, to really help her feel good about this, because I know a lot of us have had some poor virgin experiences, perhaps, and have had some of these same reactions, these same feelings, and these same insecurities. And so I'm sure she would love hearing that that we've all felt this way at one time or another, and maybe share your experiences and share some love and some suggestions for her. So thank you very much. Sending you all sweet lesbian love. Christine Dunn Cunningham, the Lesbian Love Guru.